A very good day to all of you. Thank you for watching Behind Me Media again. Now today I want to talk about this pressing issue. I know Canadians, Americans also are having this wave of, emotions and uncertainty because of Donald Trump's actions. So as you all know, on the 1st of March, yes, he imposed a 25% tariffs on import goods on Canada. And now he has given another exemption for another 30 days for the 2nd of April. So what he does is really uncertain, and it's paying a toll on all the businesses here in Canada as well. And the government here are trying their best to solve this issue. So today with me, I have Mr. Mark Nykamp, who is the North American Sales Manager of SweepRite, to talk about how these tariffs have affected his business and how the sales are going on so far as a Canadian manufacturer who has been in the industry for more than 50 years now. So Mr. Mark, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me today.
Thank you for having me.
Mr. Mark, tell me, how is business going? Now, before we get into that discussion, I would like to, give a small introduction to what SweepRite is, and since you have been in the industry for the past 50 years, and what are the changes that you've been seeing so far?
So in the last we started about 50 years ago. Road sweepers are something that nobody thinks about until the roads are really, really dirty. They're sold. We sell them throughout North America. They're predominantly used by municipalities, regions, and townships, and are independent contractors who do work for regions, townships, and municipalities. So it's a very competitive field. We have most of our competition is U.S. based. So right now, over 80% of the sweeping equipment out on roads in Ontario is manufactured in the United States, predominantly the southern United States. So we're taking opportunity to go after that. We want to start replacing U.S. products on Canadian roads with the Ontario-made sweepers. We're having challenges with the United States. We have a lot of U.S. customers who we truly love. They are having difficulties understanding the tariffs. We have challenges every morning trying to figure out what types of tariffs we have to pass on. We're looking at eating some of the tariffs just to keep our U.S. friends happy, and we're hopeful that this doesn't last forever.
Tell me a little bit about the services or the products that you'll offer. Now, you said you're a manufacturer, a huge wholesale manufacturer, right? Is it?
Yeah. So our two main products are called the S2 and S3. They're road sweeping. They're used for maintaining streets, cleaning up highways and roads after construction. We fabricate most of the parts that go into the truck in Ontario in our plant in Breslau. We do have some U.S. components that we can't source from other places. They are a challenge now trying to get them across the border. But we also work with a lot of Ontario suppliers, mostly in the Kitchener, Waterloo, out to Toronto regions, because we feel it's important that we source any components that we can from fellow Ontario manufacturers.
Now, SweepRite, since it's been in the industry for 50 years now, would you say that most of your customers are from U.S.?
Right now, about half of our customers are U.S., half of our customers are Canadian, approximately. But we're focusing more on our Canadian customers. What we've been able to do, because we have limited parts coming out of the United States, is for our great Canadian customers, we've been able to hold our pricing pretty much the same. Our only concern going forward is if steel prices go out of whack because of all this tariff activity, then we may have to look at pricing. As it stands now, we want to keep ourselves as competitive as we've always been. So unfortunately, we'll see how it progresses.
Now, you said mainly your competition is from the U.S. You still think with the tariffs in place that you'll be able to compete with pricing?
I do, because we're basing our U.S. customers buy our trucks because of the quality, because of the reliability and the ease of maintenance. So those factors will not go away.
Understood. And so how is it impactful for Sweeprite right now with the imposition of tariffs?
Our biggest challenge right now is to help and support our U.S. customers. Parts going across the border from our plant in Ontario to states across the United States. We have to be cautious that we're charging the right tariff. Sometimes we may have to eat that tariff, which cuts into our profitability.
Right.
But we do need to keep our U.S. customers happy, because sooner or later, hopefully this will pass too.
We'll hope so.
Yeah.
And also, tell me about your manufacturing. Are the raw materials from Canada, or there are some parts that you import from US as well?
We try to stick predominantly to Canadian material. There's a lot of steel that goes into our vehicles, so that's all sourced from Ontario suppliers. There are some strange bits and pieces that we do have to source, but we've taken a look through our material stack and have tried to limit U.S. content as much as possible, simply because of the uncertainty, especially in the supply chain. We're producing them very quickly. We want to keep increasing our production because we're having a lot of demand for the product, so we don't want tariffs to get in the way of our production facility.
When you spoke about the supply chain, rather than the operations cost, what are the other ways that your supply chain has been affected?
It's predominantly in the uncertainty. People are, particularly our U.S. customers, are not buying right now because they don't know how much they're going to get charged in tariffs. Because on a big piece of equipment, that's a substantial dollar figure. So they're hoping, just like we are, that tariffs sort of disappear in a little while and okay, we've had our fun. But we want to ensure them that they're buying at the best. We're not fans of having to tell people that we're going to add 25% onto your price because of your administration. Unfortunately, those are some of the conversations we're having to have with our U.S. customers.
So has your demand been affected in any way?
U.S. demand is softening a little bit. We're still, it's interesting, as more U.S. customers get our units, more U.S. customers are requesting our units. That being said, if the tariffs weren't there, I'm sure that we would be selling a lot more.
That's right. So do you think that this could be taken into advantage in any sort of way by, increasing your Canadian demand for your product?
I have no doubt that our Canadian demand will increase at a rapid rate in the coming months. Just from the calls I've been getting from the municipalities and the townships and the cities across Canada, this just isn't an Ontario thing. There's one of our competitors has a very small facility in Winnipeg. Apart from that, no one else is producing in Canada. So it's not just Ontario. We're getting calls from coast to coast to coast.
So you think you'll be able to manage that supply and demand when your U.S. customers might be, I don't know, I hope not, decreasing? Canadian customers would increase?
Yeah, I actually plan to see some growth just because of the changing patterns in Canadian demand. Because our piece of the Canadian market is growing, but I think with the Canadian pride that's evolving, that piece of the marketplace will grow at a much faster rate.
Do you have any strategies in place for your pricing or any other strategies, operational strategies, to combat these tariffs?
Right now, a lot of it is taken day to day just because it's a moving target with the U.S. tariffs. That's why right now we're focusing on our Canadian business because we're a lot more confident in the footing we have in the Canadian business. So we're still getting calls from the U.S. We're being careful how we price things out for our U.S. customers. But I think we want to service Canadians.
So, as a sales manager, what sort of pressure do you have in order to tackle this? Because I'm pretty sure when the decisions that you make with your help from your executives also, right now you would make a decision within 24 hours or 2-3 days times, it will be outdated. What sort of pressure do you have?
At Sweetpoint, we have a tremendous leadership team. They've given us a fair bit of latitude to do the best things that are right for our customers. The U.S. customers, we're happy to help them. We bend over backwards trying to understand the tariffs for them, because it's not just the manufacturer that has to understand the tariff. We have to also educate the U.S. consumer as to why their prices are changing. It hasn't really been done effectively in the United States, so we have to field a lot of those questions. And as an exporter, we have to completely understand those rules so that we can help better educate our U.S. consumers.
That's right. So, do you foresee any long-term changes to your export strategy as a result of these tariffs?
I really can't speak to that, simply because that is a moving target. Tomorrow it will look like something else, and the strategy we wrote this morning will be useless.
Yeah, that's right. So how do you think, the tariffs will affect your competitors?
Our competitors may get a little boost in the United States. I think their Canadian business is on very thin ice right now, simply because Sweetbright does offer a very good Canadian-made alternative. So we're encouraging all of our municipality and contractor customers really to stop and think about what they're getting. The other advantage that we have is that a road sweeper is a very complicated piece of equipment, and it does need to be maintained. So our municipal customers are stocking replacement parts that they have to order out of the United States, whereas we're guiding them. Our product, all of our parts are stocked just outside of Kitchener, and we ship them the next day. So in terms of maintenance and convenience, we have a major competitive advantage over our U.S. counterparts.
You have the major competitive advantage here, you feel?
In Canada, yes.
Okay.
Not in the United States.
All right. So what do you think the government right now is taking the stance, and do you think they're doing their best that they can in order to combat these tariffs, and in what way have they helped businesses like y'all?
I think they've done a very good job in a very difficult situation. We're all trying to make sense of it. They're communicating their leadership. They're strongly for Buy Canadian. And I think in the long run, that will probably help a lot of Canadian manufacturers, where a lot of customers have historically bought out of the United States, and I don't necessarily think that is necessary. They just have to be educated as to they can get the same great products down the road that they can across the border.
Is there anything that our country or the government could have done differently in order to make this not happen?
No, I don't think I don't think there was any way to divert what was coming, just based on how it came about. So no, I think they addressed it as best they could, and I think they'll continue doing that.
So what has Sweetbright done? So I'm pretty sure Donald Trump announced that he's going to impose tariffs from last year, right? So what has Sweetbright done in order to, rectify this? Before it was imposed, y'all would have taken some strategies, prepared yourselves for this.
Our main one was to ensure that we were focusing on our Canadian sourcing. When we're moving things across the border, that is an immediate. You can't move things across the border in advance in our business. So no, our focus was on optimizing our Canadian supply chain, and I think that has helped us better position ourselves to weather this storm.
Understood. So what kind of support or policies do you think that the Canadian government should implement to help exporters like yourself to cope with these new tariffs?
I think continue to do what they're doing. From an export standpoint, no tariff is good. And I think they have to stand firm. And we had a good deal under the USMCA, and I think it's still a good deal for both countries, not just us.
All right, Mr. Mark. So I think like private businesses like yourself, Canadian manufacturers, need to be encouraged to go local at this time and reduce any imports from US so that the pricing can be stable and increase demand from our Canadian people also. And as you said, for the US customers also, yes, we need to keep our American friends happy as well and not losing their demand also, but right now there's no choice at the moment. So my last question to you, Mr. Mark, would you like to give any advice to all the people who are doing their private businesses or even the common people who are buying US products at this moment?
For the manufacturers and exports, my word of advice would be to stay calm. This is going to happen whether you panic or not, so stay calm, make good business decisions. To those still buying US products, I strongly encourage you, friends and neighbors are making those products in Canada, so I strongly encourage you to look for the maple leaf.
Thank you so much, Mr. Mark. So I hope the viewers who are watching this will also understand it's not just them, but also a lot of businesses who are impacted because of these reasons and the uncertainty. Sometimes a few days ago, yes, the tariffs were on, now it's off, it's changing. So thank you again for your advice and sharing your experience with us. I'm pretty sure the viewers will also feel that they're not alone on this.
Thank you for letting me join you.
Well, that was our discussion with Mark Nykamp, who was the Northern American sales manager for Sweeprite, sharing his experience. And my message to all the Canadians is, as Mr. Mark said, go Canadian. The government also has been encouraging people to buy local as well, support our local businesses to combat these issues we are getting from Donald Trump. So keep watching Behind Me. We'll be updating you with more information. Thank you for watching. Like, share and subscribe. Have a great day.